Hi, I'm Payton Dale, and I am your friendly neighborhood wardrobe stylist. Welcome to the Payton Project. On this show, I'm going to give you all of my tips and my tricks that I've learned over years and years of styling. I'm going to take you behind the scenes with me as I style people's music videos and photo shoots and for every day. And we're also going to be talking to a lot of my personal friends about what makes them tick when it comes to getting dressed in the morning. Hey guys, welcome back to the Payton Project. One of the biggest complaints that I hear from women on my TikTok is that there are not enough fashionable, stylish, sustainable plus size options out there on the market. I met this woman named Jessica on Instagram and she kind of blew my mind. Her line, Everybody Fashion, is not only sustainable and size inclusive, but the pieces are beautifully made, incredibly stylish, and they're all manufactured with care in Portugal. So I reached out to Jessica to see if she'd want to tell us more about how she is funding this size inclusive line, the design elements that are going into it, and just I want to hear about her regular style in general. So I'm so excited to bring you this interview with my new friend, Jessica from Everybody Fashion. Jessica, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
So I came across you on TikTok.
Yes.
And I am very grateful that I did because you and I both are extremely passionate about size inclusivity and sustainability and all that fun stuff. So tell me a little bit more about how your brand got started.
Well, when I moved to Norway, I started gaining weight after my wedding, and I was diagnosed with endometriosis, which is a hereditary reproductive disorder that can slow down your metabolism, and weight gain is one of those symptoms of it. But I noticed that there really wasn't a lot of fashion here that is designed to give confidence and inspire plus size women, which was causing me to, have a lot of body dysmorphia where I looked at myself and just saw this gross, disgusting, unattractive woman, and I started realizing that a huge portion of these feelings towards myself was the clothing. It was almost as if the fashion industry here was telling me and affirming that, yes, your body is gross and disgusting, cover it up, When the pandemic started, I think that a lot of people had a lot of time on their hands all of a sudden. And I ran across this bathing suit on an online shop here in Norway. And lo and behold, they magically had my size. It wasn't black, it was this cool pattern, and I got really excited, and then I clicked to order it, and it sold out in that size. And I just became furious because this was like the umpteen millionth time that something like this had happened to me, right? And I storm out of the bedroom, and my husband's like, "What is happening? Why are you in such a rage?"
Who hurt you?
And I told him, and I said, why don't I just do this? I know the type of clothing that I want to wear. Why not me?
Right.
I am plus size. I know what this community would like. I know what we need, how the clothing needs to perform. And he, as lovely of a man as he is, he's like, yeah, why not you? If you want something done right, you got to do it yourself,
Yeah. What is that expression? Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where we're at. And what I also really enjoy, because, we had sat down and talked before, what I really appreciate about your line is that it's not these traditionally plus size lines that are offered to people. You've already thought about these things. You thought about the curve of the body and how things are going to fit, and the length of things and how that affects people. It's amazing. You've really thought of everything because you've been there. You've been in those changing rooms. And what I also appreciate about the stuff that you were showing me is that it's it's got its own style, it's got its own voice, but you also thought about how can other people style these pieces, which is really great.
I've tried to make it really versatile and functional for as many people as possible, because there is such a great need here. And I think, our motto with this brand is fashion is for everybody, and it's just about not getting too set in your ways with designs and how things should be made, and my manufacturer has really learned a lot through this process with me, I think, because, I'm really forcing them to break those molds and say, we have to come up with a solution for this that makes it function, and we're taking designs that, are in straight sizes and making them functional for plus size, women.
Amazing. And then you're also doing this in a way that is sustainable and ethical, which is shocking, because I usually tell my clients, you get, whether it be virtual or in person, you can have sustainable or you can have ethical. And then everyone's version of ethical is different. It's like, do you care about the people making a fair wage? Do you care about the environmental factors and how they affect, everything around us? And you've thought of everything and then done that, which is also really impressive for a brand, because typically you have to sacrifice in one or the other, especially when it comes to size inclusivity. So I really just applaud you for that. There's no real question there. Just congratulations on doing it, because no one
appreciate that.
So what got you into fashion?
I started getting into fashion whenever I went into the theater world. I spent 15 years working backstage in the wardrobe arena for a nationally accredited theater in Mississippi, where I'm from. And so that really solidified that. I started getting into makeup and doing editorial photo shoots and things like that. So, I really got kind of a behind the scenes look at, how fashion works. But that's really what got me going in the direction of taking an interest in fashion, because it really is an arena where you can encompass your creativity and your art into your own personal style and share it with the world, without having to feel like, you're not shoving a painting or something in front of somebody's face. It gives people a taste of, this is who I am inside as well. So I think that's really, really fun.
I always say it's the only form of art we're legally obligated to buy. We might as well use it to our advantage.
Right.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Payton Project. I met this woman named Jessica on Instagram, and she kind of blew my mind. Her line, Everybody Fashion, is not only sustainable and size inclusive, but the pieces are beautifully made, incredibly stylish, and they're all manufactured with care in Portugal. So I'm so excited to bring you this interview with my new friend, Jessica from Everybody Fashion. If you could trade closets with anybody in the world and you could copy and paste and have everything in that closet fit you perfectly, and you could do it tomorrow, who would it be?
Diane von Furstenberg is really, a big inspiration to me, and I would love to rate her closet.
And not afraid of color and print and all that fun stuff too.
Yeah. Especially, I love her boldness with print and using really modern prints as well, and also the way that she can take a very classic print, something that's very, seen, and, blow it up and make it bigger, and suddenly it's like really modern and chic too.
Well, I know that you were talking about, when we had our initial call, just to say hi in general, you were talking about crowdfunding, and that's how you were going about funding this brand. Because one of the big things that a lot of designers don't talk about is how hard it is to get funding. Because when you're manufacturing and you're manufacturing ethically, it's expensive. So walk me through a little bit about how you came up with the idea of crowdfunding and what that's been looking like for you so far.
Crowdfunding, I spent about a year looking for an investor. We we really have a quite large market gap in the plus size market here. It's 6.3 billion Norwegian kroner, which is, around $6 million. That's the market gap alone. And we're not talking about, companies that are overseas that do business here, that and companies that have a presence here that are just doing it badly,
Right.
But that's like the missing pieces here. So I started looking for investment, and I've applied to hundreds of angel investment websites. I have reached out to investors and everything, and unfortunately right now the investment world is really preoccupied and really interested in tech and apps specifically. So a woman ran business that is also plus size fashion wasn't really interesting to them, sadly. So my husband and I, despondent for a couple of months, decided, the world has always been against me, but guess what? I am not dead yet. And, I have, decided that I'm not going to let this defeat me. I'm going to give it the best shot that I've got. And, we came up with this idea to really put me and my personality and my story out there to the public, start, really running some rigorous social media programs. And in November, we finally launched our Kickstarter, which,
amazing.
we have a goal of 2.5 million Norwegian kroner. So that's around 250,000 to fund the manufacturing of the spring and summer collection. And, as you said, doing ethical and sustainable, fashion manufacturing, it can be expensive,
We've been trained. I want to reframe how we think about this. It's not that it's expensive, it's that we've been conditioned to get things cheap.
Exactly. And you really are lacking in quality and in design there, because they're going to take one design that they've done and done the pattern making with it and try to just use it as many times as possible again. And same with fabrics. They'll buy enormous amounts of certain fabrics, and they'll try to make it
death.
And regardless of whether or not that particular fabric performs well for that type of item, and that can all lead to some disastrous results, especially with plus size, because they always want to use this like spandexy kind of like swimsuity material
for everything.
It kind of shows everything,
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. So where can everyone find you? Where can we find the crowdfunding? How can we support you and follow your journey? Because I think that what you're doing is so important, and I think there's such a gap in the market for it, and I want everybody to be able to watch you.
Our crowdfunding you can find in our bio on Instagram, everybodyfashion.no, also on TikTok at everybodyfashion. You can also go to everybodyfashion.no, and there is a link directly to the Kickstarter there as well.
Perfect.
And our reward packages are able to only be shipped to people that are within Norway, but we do want and intend to be an internationally available brand as quickly as possible. So that means that we would appreciate the support from everyone within the plus size community, or people that just want to support us and see us succeed. And if you want to support us, you can go and pledge with no reward as much as you want. That can be $5, that can be $20, that can be €50, that can be €5. Whatever you feel comfortable with, we would love to have support from as many people as possible so that we can, launch internationally as quickly as possible too, because we have some really big things planned, like, not just clothing, but we want to move into accessories, footwear, wide leg, wide calf, knee-high boots and things like that, as well as jewelry eventually, all of it going to be made in Portugal under EU labor laws and environmental laws. So
amazing. Well, and I really want to encourage you guys at home who are watching this, who might not be in Norway, if you have ever struggled in a dressing room, if you've ever had a meltdown, if you've ever been like, why don't things fit me? This is the next step towards the future. And I want you guys to be able to vote with your dollar or your euro or whatever it is about what you want as a consumer. So even if you can't get the reward package, I really encourage you, just donate your latte money for the day. And let's see plus size, ethical, sustainable fashion really thrive, because I looked at the tech packs for this, and the pieces are going to be ones that people will wear for the rest of their lives. They are the most perfect basics. They're statement pieces that everybody will love. The fabric choices are so smart. The color palette's beautiful. This is what's missing. And instead of being, mad and looking outside of these bigger brands, as consumers, we have the responsibility to tell people what we want. And this is it. And I'm so excited, and I'm so happy that I got to meet you on TikTok. And I'm just so grateful that you were able to talk to us today.
I am too. It's been fun. And I always love, telling more people and spreading the word about our brand. And I really think that we can make a big difference in a lot of people's lives. And, I'm so grateful for you to reach out to me as well and to be here today.
Closer for everybody. Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Hey guys, welcome back to the Payton Project. How much do you hate shopping? I know I do, and this is my job. And one of the big things that I struggle with, and I know that a lot of my clients struggle with, is standardized sizing. Have you ever gone into a store and you'll get the same garment? So maybe it's a pair of jeans, and you'll get one style and you're at one size in that style, and then you try on the same size in a slightly different pair of pants and they don't fit at all. We're gonna talk about standardized sizing and why it is terrible today. So standardized sizing, at least in America, really started in the Civil War era. And what happened was they basically took a bunch of measurements from all the soldiers and kind of figured out the average of everybody. And they looked at height, they looked at shoulders, they looked at waist and hips, and they took it and ran with it. And then they essentially said, it kind of worked for men, let's do it for women. You can see why this is already a problem. In 1939, the government funded this basically, I want to say, quest to try and figure out standardized sizing for women. And they asked all these women to come in so they could measure them and do the same thing. The problem, they paid the women to do it, so you ended up having women who were usually financially not as well off as other women would be. And because of that, they were malnourished. A large portion of these women actually had problems that went along with being malnourished. And they based these measurements on these women who were already underweight. So they took these women from this 1939 study and went, yeah, that's right. And that's what they've based most female sizing on since then. In 1958, we kind of got the more modern version of what standardized sizing is, but they experimented with these letters, F, S, for full and slender. And by the time the 70s rolled around, they'd made some slight tweaks to what we now look at as the standardized system with 0 all the way up to 22. Then time goes on, the 90s happen, we end up with double zeros, we end up with XXS. The problem is that we're still basing these standard measurements on this old study. And the other problem is that what one designer might call a 2, another designer might call a 4. And what ends up happening is you have these designers that do sample sizing, and they make their sample garments based on a fit model. If that fit model has the same measurements as you, you might luck out. And if the fit model doesn't, you're SOL and you're crying in the dressing room. The other thing that you will notice is some brands that manufacture their garments in multiple factories, they have different people cutting and they have different people measuring. So you will be a 2, a 4, a 6, and an 8 in one brand. But if you know this going into it and you know the history of standardized sizing and why it's honestly just copying and pasting a bunch of measurements for dudes onto women, you'll know that it's not you. My big thing that I like to do is I like to have measurements in my phone. I have a little note section that I keep my measurements and I update them every few months. And that way I can bring in a tape measure to a store and kind of get an idea for what's gonna fit and what's not, or when I'm shopping online, it's very helpful. But if you know the history and you know why things are the way that they are, it's easier to accept it, embrace it, and just know that sizes aren't real. Hope that was helpful.